I'm Ryan Reeve Morales, lead producer of Gameplay on League. You might remember me from all those champion roadmaps, but today, for reasons I can't even fathom, they put me in front of a camera again to talk about all of League this time. So buckle up as I dive into some of the champions we have in development. After that, I'm going to pass the metaphorical mic over to Riot Froxon, who is going to talk to you about the recent durability update as well as our plans for preseason. So before we get into the new champions coming up this year,
you want it louder?
Let's take a quick look back at the champions we've released in 2022 so far. First, we had the speedy ADC Zeri, then the girl boss Renata Glass. After that, the Void Empress herself, Belva.
3 champs this year. To me, Zeri is an F straight up in terms of like the health of the game. Totally cancer. Somebody made an article, 14 changes in 10 patches. They average essentially 1.5 changes per patch, which you're probably asking, how is that possible? It's because she gets changed every patch and then she gets hot fixed in the middle of that patch. It's crazy, you know, right? Like, she's just so insanely different than when she came out, and when she came out, like, she was also super unhealthy. It's just funny. I think for me, Zeri is an F. Renata is like an A. Renata is what I would say. It's good. It's synergistic with certain champions. It's not a good pick every single game. She is overpowered, I want to say, in certain situations, but she's not always good. She takes some skill to play. She takes honestly some skill to play against. Like, you can outplay most of her abilities.
And then most recently, the joyful Neela.
Neela, you know, I don't think that a measure of a successful champion is like play rate and how good they are. Because, like, to me, it's pretty obvious that Neela's pretty weak. She doesn't really get played anywhere. She's, I think somebody said that they like tried playing her competitive in LEC and it was just like dog shit. And, you know, my initial impressions of it was just like, Reddit is always going to be crying about any sort of unique champion strengths, and hers is like getting more XP, right? But at the end of the day, especially in high rated, like, she doesn't really snowball the way that people thought she would with the XP thing. Initially, I thought she was pretty bad, and I think after some back and forth, it's like she is pretty bad, but she has really good synergy with Taric. Berserker played her, and he was totally useless, right? Like, just remember that game. Neela Sona, I was honestly surprised that he wanted to play it at all. Right, she's weak. She doesn't get played much. I think she's a success because when I play her, she's really fun. And I think that's really what it comes down to. Like, is a champion fun? Do you get AIDS when you play against this champion? Like Yumi or like Zeri, when Zeri's just supersonic 1v5? Neela, she is totally fair. And in my opinion, she's totally fair. Strengths, weaknesses, very easy to outplay Neela, very easy to kite her, and really fun to play. Anyways, like, when you do get kills with her, you're like, damn, that was sick. Yeah, I'm a firm believer.
And just around the corner, we have the Udyr VGU.
I think they did a pretty good job.
Bod worthy of the Freljordian gods. Udyr's development has been a long journey, especially since he's been the first VGU that we've done that's had an ultimate skin. We appreciate you all being patient with
I think that Samir is actually a better champion than Neela is, to be honest.
us on this one, and hopefully the wait has been worth it.
But Neela's really fun.
So in addition to the new champions we've released this year,
Belveth, I don't know.
We've also been shipping a lot of MIDSCOPE updates to various champions, including Janna, Ahri, Swain, Talia, Olaf, and recently Sivir.
Hey, those are actually all big wins. Those, just naming all that again. Hold on, let me listen to this again. Talia and Ahri were reworked and great success. A little bit overpowered in the beginning. They had to nerf him a few times, but I would say
to various champions.
Really good.
Including Janna,
never see her, failure.
Ahri, Swain.
Good. Swain, oh yes, very good with Swain.
Talia, Olaf, and recently Sivir.
No, all good. Damn, dude, all those were pretty good reworks, right? Like you see the champions a lot more. They kept their identity. The champions are a lot more balanced.
Because we slowed down the release of new champions, we've had a bit more time to ship smaller updates to champions on the roster that have fallen behind the pack. So the goal of MIDSCOPE
I don't know about Janna. Where the fuck
isn't
is
to
Janna?
reimagine a champion's visuals, theme, or gameplay. That's reserved for VGUs. Instead, we want to freshen up the champions that aren't living up to the expectations of the players who love them. We try to strengthen their fantasy even more, rather than reinvent it. So for Swain, we pushed his fantasy of an unkillable frontline mage to the max. And for Ari, we focus on her fantasy of a mobile mage, rather than the assassin she had become. We saw really great responses to these projects, as well as healthy play rate spikes after their release. Given all of this,
there's so many.
We want to keep pursuing MIDSCOPE updates, and we already have a few champions we're exploring, including Nico and Syndra.
Oh, that would be sick. That would be sick. Those champs.
So now let's talk about some projects I've been super excited to share with you.
Nice.
So later this year, we have a new top lane tank hailing from Shurima, who I briefly mentioned in the last champion roadmap. This new champion will introduce a part of Shurima that we haven't.
This guy honestly seems extremely bored telling you about this. Like, he doesn't seem really excited, animated, or just honestly even just entertaining at all talking about. Like, he's just like, we have a new champion from Shurima. It's like he's about to fall asleep telling you about this shit.
The city of Nezuma. Now, Azuma is an oasis city-state in the southern outskirts of the desert, and unlike the rest of Shurima, they don't bow to Azir. Situated on one of the only water sources for miles, the people of Nezuma had to compete with giant monsters just trying to stay hydrated. It was a hard-fought struggle, but they eventually claimed the oasis as their own and built their society.
Skull emoji for real, 9x.
500 years later, this new champion leads the warriors of Nezuma to hunt those same monsters, using the rare resources they gained to build their infrastructure and weapons. He actually fought one of the largest monsters the desert has ever known, creating his unique Entofos out of its rare regenerating hide. Entofos are huge, blunt weapons that can be used defensively, but at any moment, he can shatter them, revealing carefully crafted blades capable of tearing through any foe in seconds. Soon after, the hide will regenerate back to its blunt form, so he can, like, bludgeon the crap out of you. It's honestly quite impressive to see.
Wow,
but you don't have to take my word for it.
That was literally one of the worst, like, pitches and ways to show excitement for a new champion I've ever seen. I have no idea what he's talking about. This is an example of show, don't tell. What the fuck is he talking about? Making up random fictional words about this guy's weapons, regenerating. Dude, just show a goddamn photo of this champion and the weapons that he uses, or show the passive or whatever it is, or just don't even talk about it.
The entire city-state is basically permanently impressed by him. I mean, he's Kasanti, the pride of Nezuma. You don't get that title for nothing. So after Kasanti, we will be releasing the highly anticipated Aurelian Soul CGU. To remind everybody, a CGU, or Comprehensive Gameplay Update, is a new type of update we are testing out on Aurelian Soul. So the goal is to completely reimagine A-Soul's gameplay.
I thought it was Aurelian Soul
without changing his visuals or narrative at all. Since let's be honest, those aspects of Aurelian Soul are still amazing, even by today's standards.
Sweaty
But I know what you're thinking. Less talking, Mr. Reeve, more action. And by action, we mean videos. Okay, fine. Twist my arm a little bit more, will you? One of the goals was to enhance his
twist my arm a little bit, will you? Won't you just nibble on my ear a little bit and, you know, just scratch my back.
What do dragons
fingernails
do?
On my back.
Well, they breathe fire, of course. A-Soul's new Q allows him to breathe fire for as long as he has mana to do it. But let's not forget the other thing dragons do. Fly.
That is sick.
His new W allows him to take to the skies. But this time, he doesn't have to walk in a straight line for, like, ever.
They copied WoW Dragonflight. It's dragon flying.
But really, let's be honest. He's a dragon. And if there's one thing more iconic than either flying or breathing fire, it's flying while breathing fire. which you can do by combining his Q and W.
Holy shit, his neck is absolutely elastic. This guy's got a fucking, he's a contortionist. What the fuck?
We did it.
He's doing it 180.
So after Aurelian Soul, we have a champion I've been literally dying to talk to you about. One of the things the League community hounds me about constantly is wanting to see more Darkin champions. Darkin fans are like, throw me a frickin' bone here. And believe you me, I'm right there with you, barking for some Darkin.
Okay, I am actually, dude, this guy needs to just, they need to get literally anybody. Just get fucking Tyler 1. Pay him to fly out and do this
Darkin,
shit for you.
I
This
can
is
just talk to the team about it.
This is making me cringe. I'm fucking 29 years old. Like, imagine if you're like 17 years old, some shit like that. You're like, oh boy, League of Legends. My older cousin plays that game. I'm gonna go check out the newest update. Oh, never mind. Back to Valorant and Roblox.
And gosh dang it, I did just that. And the team was like, heck yeah, we want more Darkin as well. We love Darkin. So yeah, long story short, we're making a new Darkin assassin. So I know what you're gonna ask next. What's the weapon? Each Darkin is trapped in some super awesome weaponry. Please tell us what it is, we must know. And while I love watching you all squirm beneath my intricate yet vague champion roadmap teasers,
Stop role playing.
I'm not gonna be that cruel today. The weapons are like the coolest part about Darkin after all. So this one was actually entrapped in a dagger, which is now a Darkin dagger, of course, because that's how that works. And here's what it looks like.
Dude, just hold up the
so
spork and just say you're fucking the Penguin of Doom already.
edgy, so dark.
Just say it.
And as to who
Say that you
or
love being
what
random.
got a hold of these daggers, well, you'll just have to wait and find out. Another thing a lot of people
Am
have
I
been
exaggerating,
asking
or
to
is
see
this
progress on
actually
is the Ari
physically
update
painful?
that we announced at season
I
start.
want to skip, but I know I
The
shouldn't.
ASU team has been hard at work.
Is there anybody
is
here
ready to
who's
share
like,
some more,
oh, wow, that's
like the
so
final
funny and
composition
entertaining,
scene
man?
here. The base version is close to complete, and the team is super excited to show you some of the progress on how she's looking in-game. Look at all those sweet polygons. And here's a sneak
Okay,
peek
you're
of her
not dying,
updated
okay.
VFX.
So some people are fine
Ari
with
still
it.
has a ton of skins that also need to be updated. So she still needs a little more time in the Foxfire oven before we can get her in your hands. But you can expect to see her sometime early next year.
Hey, babe,
So
did
that's
you like
about
the
it for
pork?
champion news.
It's
Though
okay?
I will leave you
Okay.
with one
I'll eat the
small
chicken then.
thing. On top of wanting a new Darkin, we've seen a lot of players asking us to expand on Ixtal. We've also heard you asking for us to make a male enchanter.
The pork is
Well,
so
I
dry?
say, why
Fuck,
not both?
That sucks.
I'm happy to say we have right now, in very
The
early
Penguin
development,
of Doom.
a new male enchanter.
Haha, that was just me
from
being random
Ixtal.
again. Lol.
The new champion will show a very different side to Ixtal, far from the lavish palaces Kiana grew up in. So take a look at this art teaser that the team working on and put together. Oh my god, they're so adorable. Well, that's enough cuteness for now. So as promised, let's hear from Riot Foxon on the champion durability update and preseason.
Dude, let's hear it for literally anybody else. Woo! Anybody else?
Hey everyone, I'm Matthew Long Harrison, aka Riot Froxon, lead game designer on the Summoner's Rift team. We work on things like balancing the game, in-game systems like the durability update and items, and preseason. I've got a few things to cover today, so let's jump right into it. A
This
few
guy?
patches ago, we launched the champion durability update. Our goal was to increase the durability and reduce the damage and healing of every champion in League.
He's Australian, right?
We've been closely monitoring the results,
Or
and after
from New
some
Zealand?
targeted adjustments, we're really happy with where the update landed. A lot of you have mentioned how much you like the update, and that it feels good to have fights last longer with more chances for skill expression. And we're glad that it helped make League feel fresher. That said, we don't have plans to make changes of this size outside of preseason in the future, unless it's really necessary. What we don't want is for huge changes like this to disrupt League's competitive integrity,
Yeah,
especially
they.
in the middle of the season.
Yep, they did that.
Speaking of which, let's talk about our plans for preseason.
They messed up the They messed up the flow of competitive play
Similar
really
to
hard,
last year,
but they
we're
made the
making
game more fun
targeted
for the
changes
regular
to
player,
various systems.
and I respect that.
Our multi-year goal is to bring everything in League up to modern standards before doing updates on the scale
Always
of
gonna be a trade-off.
Runes Reforged, Elemental Rift, or the item update again. So for this preseason, we're updating systems including communication and vision, making the jungle more exciting and accessible, and bringing back a familiar foe. Our communication system is showing its age, especially in comparison to some of our other games. So we're giving it some much needed attention with new features that'll make it easier to communicate with your team and walk away with the win.
Yeah.
To that, we're expanding
yeah.
our in-game ping system to allow for better communication with your team.
Okay.
The current system
The current system is so limiting. I can't even ping my teammate that I'm on the way to his house IRL. It's only in game. There's
only
really
lets you
not
share
enough
very
communication
basic
tools.
communications. And while we appreciate your ingenuity with the limited pings you have, we wanted to give you more opportunity for clearer communication. The updated pings will include everything you already know and love, plus
Okay.
expanded vision options and a
Coming
call
to your front
engage.
door, watch out.
We're also thinking
That's
about
probably
ways
the
to
next
emphasize
one.
pings with teammates, plan macro strategy for objectives, and keep track of where pings are on the map, even if they're off your screen. In addition to the changes to communication, we're making some small improvements to the
harass.
vision system, as it's a bit outdated. It's not super clear that you can swap vision trinkets, and it's definitely not clear how you can best utilize them. To that, we're exploring ways to make vision trinkets more intuitive. You'll be able to see how many wards you have on the map,
No! The Scar Award!
preview where they'll go when placing them in walls.
God damn it, Riot.
Another focus this
Why have
year
you done this?
is the jungle. We know it's often a highly stressful role where you need heaps of knowledge to be baseline proficient. There's a lot riding on junglers, as they're often the backbone of the team's strategy, while sometimes getting unjustly flamed. So we're looking to make some changes to make jungling more intuitive, and to help alleviate some of its more painful parts. Our first change is improving buff sharing.
So we have
Donating
removed
buffs to your laners is an important part of being a jungler.
jungling.
But it feels bad to
from the
lose the
game.
gold, experience, and bonuses they provide. We're exploring a bunch of things to make this more painless to junglers, like buffs leaving behind a little friend that also has a buff, and a few other potential directions. We're also looking at ways of improving jungle camp patience rules. The goal of this change is to make it so you don't get overly punished by accidentally pulling camps too far. You shouldn't have to know exactly what pixel to stand on to do red buff and raptors at the same time without one resetting. So we're making changes that will make it less punishing when that happens. We know some junglers like to hyper-optimize their clears, and we want that knowledge to be rewarded. We'll still keep unique, optimal clears for different champions, like Kayn starting raptors and Shaco doing whatever it is he does. All
Shaco
this
does
said,
some crazy
we're not
shit.
trying to make mastering jungle easier, but we do want to make it easier to start jungling. We still want you to be rewarded for taking the time to master your role and champions. There are some other improvements we're exploring for the jungle, but it's still too early to share more, so we'll check back in.
You know what's really interesting? I feel like a lot of people in my position, you know, playing pro for so long, you will, to me, jungling is probably the easiest role to start off with. But when I talk to people like, you know, I played in like fucking bunch of random for fun tournaments and show matches and stuff with either Grubhub or Mr. Beast, and people will say that like I just can't jungle. Like that is the one role that they never want to play. Okay, just listen to my perspective about it first, because now I understand what you guys are saying, where it's like, oh no, it's so like no way, right? But my perspective was jungling is easy because you're not really fighting against an enemy player. All you're really doing is just farming minions, just you versus the minions, right? And occasionally, obviously, if the enemy jungle is really good, they'll invade you, or occasionally you'll go for a gank. But like, I think at a pretty basic level, like let's just say a gold lobby, you're probably not going to get invaded. You're probably not going to be fighting too much. You're just going to kind of path from camp to camp. But then, you know, I failed to take into perspective like so many other things. So I was definitely enlightened by like talking to people. And so what this guy is saying, which is like, oh, it's so hard for you to get into jungling. Maybe like a year ago or two, I wouldn't understand what the fuck he's talking about. But now I do agree with him that it seems pretty common that everyone thinks jungling is the hardest role to get into. I mean, it is what it is.
Later.
You get 0 praise for anything that
The
goes
final
well.
preseason change we want to talk about today is the long-awaited return of everyone's favorite Drake,
Frustrating role for
the
sure.
CHEMTECH Drake. While we're bringing CHEMTECH Drake back from the dead, she won't bring you back from the dead anymore. Instead, the new and improved CHEMTECH Soul grants more damage and damage reduction when you're low health. And when the CHEMTECH Drake takes over the Rift, the plants on the map mutate and become empowered. For example, Scry's Bloom will grant movement speed when moving towards revealed enemies, and Blast Cone will take you further than ever before.
What
like from
the
blue buff
fuck?
to mid lane. We still have other plans for preseason, including the usual updates and tweaks to items and runes.
What the fuck
And we'll
was
share
that?
more information about our plans for these, and everything we discussed today as we get close to preseason. That's all I have today. Thanks for watching, and let us know what you think about everything you heard. I'll hand things back to Reeve to say goodbye.
That seems extremely fun to do and extremely like, what the fuck did I do? You know, I like when the game gets crazy. I do. I like when the game gets crazy. It's fun. I'm worried that somebody who doesn't play the game, you know, 30 hours a week like I do, you know, let's say a regular person plays the game like 4 or 5 hours a week. You know, they sit down a couple days, play a couple hours. They're going to be like so lost with that shit. They're, how the fuck did I die there? But, you know, I play the game a lot, so I kind of like when it gets
Thanks,
crazy.
Roxanne. So as you can see, we have a lot of exciting things in development. And as always, I've had a blast finally sharing all this cool stuff the team has been working on with all of you. Wait. Yeah? So I'm hearing that there is one last thing we forgot to show you all. You all remember the skin line you voted for at the beginning of the year, right? I think it was the Gothic skin line revamp. Well, our skins team has been hard at work reimagining that skin line, and they really want to share a bit of it with you now. So it's time for me to say goodbye, bye, and time for all of you to see some sweet concept art for the new Fright Night skins.
Dude, no. You're leaving already? Wait, that's pretty cool. Wait, that's pretty cool. What the fuck? Annie's is insane. Who is this, by the way? Who is that? Oh, it's Trundle. Oh, you're right. This is super cool. The fuck? This Annie skin is insane. Well, that was cool. All in all, I would say I think they did a good job this year. Feels like average league player, you know, the casual player really likes the durability update. The reworks were a big success. I think the new champions, you know, as always, it's hit or miss. But some of the stuff that's coming up is pretty cool. I like the ASOL thing. Another enchanter, though, makes me a little bit... Another enchanter coming into the game makes me really nervous about competitive play. Like, it might be boring. It might be even more boring than it is now, right? If it's more heavily leaned towards enchanters. And usually Riot likes to, you know, they don't want to release something, put all this work into the fucking voices, the graphics, the design, the skins, and no one plays it. They're always going to lean towards releasing something. This is why power creep happens in every game ever, even though like we talk about it, the devs talk about it. Everybody who's ever played games knows what power creep is. But you don't release something that no one is interested in buying / using / trying out. You're going to want to release something in a state where, you know, people want to play it. Otherwise, it's just a waste of your time. And so, yeah, that's why I'm worried about the enchanter thing, because I think the game gets real boring when that's meta. But all in all, you know, CHEMTECH Drake coming back on all this stuff, I think it's good. It's actually pretty good. I don't think they're doing too crazy with the changes.